Well, I think your conference has addressed some of the critical issues which clearly have to do with the financial viability of museums. And I think your conference has highlighted the fact that museums are going to have to find new ways of funding, whether it is corporate funding or generating funding from events and activities that they actually run, or commercial activities, be it the cafe, the shop, whatever. I think it is, in my mind, it is becoming crystal clear that a lot of museums in Europe are going to have to change the way they view where they get their funding from, which is state funding. They're going to have to see it as a partnership where they will, and by right they should be funded by the state, but they have to start to think of themselves as also having a commercial role. They're not businesses, but they are going to have to need to work in a business fashion. Yes, I can. I do believe that museums can transform people's lives, and that's partly because of working with the public, as I do, because I look after public programming, that I have seen it with my own eyes, people who have, in some small way or some large way, been transformed by an experience in the museum. And I think if the museum puts people as the priority, the visitor is the priority, and you hear people talk constantly about the museum or the collection or whatever, but when you hear somebody start talking about the visitor and what they want to do for the visitor and how they want to engage the visitor and how they want the visitor to have a good time or to learn something, then you feel that the visitor is probably going to be the center part of the visit to the museum, and that's always a very good signal. So I think if we're very mindful of people all the time, and the need, people are changing, the way people look at the world is changing, the way they're approaching their free time. Free time is so precious now because people work very hard, and I think we have to be constantly changing the way we work, the way we run programs, the way we think about people who come into the museum, and broadening the range of the kind of work that we're doing all the time. There's no sector of the community that we shouldn't be addressing the range of our programs to. And that'll help more people to have fun, to engage with the museum. My children think I'm a complete fossil in terms of how I use new technology. I have a tiny laptop at home, I have a bigger laptop, I have a mobile phone. My children have so much equipment, and I have a funny feeling that 10 years from now, the whole mechanism for technology, every bedroom is going to have its own base for children to use their equipment from. My own feeling is I don't even know how we will be using technology in the future. The only time I feel I'm tapping into it is when I turn on a science fiction movie or some of the cartoons where it's all fictional, but you have a funny sense that it's not fictional anymore. So I would love some possibility of our museums to be bringing in young technical people, the Google people, and for them to be telling us what we should be doing. It should be a natural thing to do, to be able to involve young people, bright, sassy, savvy people, and for them to be coming in and saying, no, that's no good, this is what you should be doing. It would be wonderful to have the money available to help them to show us what to do, so that we could connect far more quickly to a much wider audience. Like I mentioned when we live streamed and Twittered that round table, how some of the young people accidentally fell upon the sites and they all started twittering everybody saying, hey guys, have you seen this new site? Tap into it, look what they're doing. And for one day, for one moment, all of these people in Dublin were tapping into what we were doing, and therefore the conversation about museums was going in all directions. Now, why can't we do that every day, so that we're tapping into everybody's conversation and that they're telling us then what we should be doing or what's right or whatever, you know. It should be a much wider conversation.